I'd like to welcome everyone to battle for world supremacy.
Roll it! Roll it! New York Knicks! New York Knicks! Fantastic Voyage, the story of Knicks Nation, the 16th man. The Big Apple. They used to say New York, New York, a place so nice they had to name it twice, was a tale itself of 8 million stories. 2021 is a tale of two stories, a story within a story. The obvious is the unexpected, ascent of the 2021 New York Knicks. The other is the rise of the inner action alongside the action, the passion, the knowledge, the collectiveness of Knicks Nation. The virtual world of Knicks Nation, unbought and unbossed, genuine, authentic, organic. I'm Chuck D. Come on, take a ride. This is Fantastic Voyage, the story of Knicks Nation. In New York, it's said to always expect the unexpected. Don't trust anything that comes too easy. Give it the side eye, suspect, until respect. There was no ulterior motive to be a Knick fanatic. The benefit is often innate. By now, you've heard about the 2021 Knick turnaround. Major media and its growing self on his milk job. Everybody has covered the story. Coach Tibbs, the rise of the Knicks. MVP talk of the All-Star, Julius Randle. The most improved overlooked top 3 draft pick, R.J. Barrett. The flamethrower, Emmanuel Quickley, the steal of the draft. The reunited MVP icon, Derrick Rose. The Big 15, as Reggie Bullock said. The newfound Knicks culture. But the subculture have been bubbling all along. Major media still simply calls them blogs or podcasts, which may be a demeaning term by now. The terms platform or internetwork may be a more due respectful term. Quicker, faster, getting stronger every day, beating a pre, during, and post-story mainstream to the punch. And most importantly, authentic.
And people told me you couldn't do this as a fan, that you had to be in a suit and tie all the time. You can't say, you can't say we. I believe you can't say we if you're doing the NBA pregame show on ABC, but, you can't be a fan and do this. That's what I was told when I was a young kid growing up in this industry, interning and working at ESPN Radio, and I wanted to change that. And I think the difference with me is that I consider I'm a broadcaster. I know I'm not Bob Costas, I'm not Mike Breen, I'm not Michael Kay, but I think I'm a real broadcaster, and I know how to do a show, and I know how to put out real content. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to really be a fan and do it. I wanted you to know that if I'm doing a show the day after the Knicks lost by 1 point to the Bulls on a last second shot by Ben Gordon back in the day, I wanted the fans to know, when you're hurting, I'm hurting worse. And when there was a big game, if a player hit a big shot to win a game where the Knicks won by 30, if you think you're happy, I'm happier than you. And I just wanted to change that. I wanted to do something different. And I didn't want to be Frank Isola. I didn't want to be Mark Berman. I love Ian Begley. I didn't want to be Ian Begley. I wanted to be Anthony Donahue. I wanted to do something different. And that's what I've done. And by the way, you need those guys. Those guys are very important. But that's not what I wanted to do. Like I said, I wanted to do something different and succeed at that.
I want to talk about my basketball team. If nobody's listening, I just want to have an outlet where I can talk about my basketball team and then just have it all out there. Put that CK, that Chris touch to it, where it's the comedy, something different. It's not a sitting down talking head like, yesterday this person had this amount of points and this and that and third. I just wanted to have a funny dialogue about what is going on as being a Knicks fan and going on with the Knicks.
I speak for a lot of Knicks fans when I say over the years when the team wasn't very good, you didn't always want to go ahead and read, whoever was writing for whatever paper or major publication, because it didn't make you feel any better about the team. There was no bright spot there to be found. And so I think like now you look around and there's so like Perry Alex talked before, there's so many different people now that have great podcasts and great blogs, and there's great writers and like newsletters and people doing little live like what you do. It's just now that void is definitely full, and I think people, Knicks fans everywhere, whether it's here in New York or halfway across the world, they appreciate that.
Our big thing with the Strickland was we came from a SB Nation site called Posting and Coasting, because there's obviously so many talking heads out there about the Knicks. I feel like people don't really gravitate towards that anymore. I think, especially in this fandom, people are so beaten down by the fact that, there's all these places that are just constantly crapping on the team, and it's like, everybody knows the Knicks suck, you don't need to tell me, you don't need to beat me over the head with the fact that the Knicks are not good. So ultimately, I think people were just looking for something that is more objective, and I think that ultimately there's this misconception about if fans are making content, it's going to be inherently biased. I don't think people understand that fans can look at things objectively and can produce good content and, even give you better content because you're watching the team every single day. You're not just sparingly picking up a Knicks game here and there and then talking about it on TV like you know what you're talking about. Like you've legitimately watched every game, you've paid attention to every rumor, you've done everything. So I think that was our main thing. We wanted to just provide in-depth coverage. We wanted to go beyond what you could get in the Daily News or the Post, or even some of the other blogs out there that are more superficial and just kind of like headline grabbing stuff. We do it to a degree to make sure the site can get looked at, but we mostly try to do content that we think people want to read and stuff that's more deep dives and things like that.
People have, come up to me or on Twitter or email or whatever and said like, listen, man, you're the reason I started a podcast, or, you're the reason I'm trying to write. As much as anything, that really hits home, because I think, we do this because we love this team, and it's whether you're right up in the middle of the night, writing when your kids are asleep, or sneaking off to a corner of your house to record a podcast, whatever it is, you do it because you love it. And the fact that there are more Knicks fans out there than I think any other team in basketball, and maybe any other team in professional sports. There's so many people out there who love the team, and the fact that they have an opportunity to express themselves in whatever form is a great thing.
I want to build something great. I want to build something memorable. I want to make my pops proud, and I want to be able to sustain, and even help me and other creatives like me to kind of like do what they love, and be a part of this whole Knicks Nation. So it's a mosh pot of things, and also even a missing voice too. I felt like there was a missing voice back in the day, and I used to actually listen to a lot of Anthony MSG's podcasts back in the day, and he kind of inspired me to kind of go, because there's a point where he went dark for a second. I was thinking, where is my Knicks content? I was kind of missing it, and I didn't even know where to find it. So I was like, I just might as well create my own. And I just felt like it was like me and some of my friends, we just got together. It was like, yo, this would be a cool thing to do. It's a different type of voice. I haven't really seen this type of voice before. So let's go out and try it. And that's what we did.
Covering, the X's and O's and giving the fans an inside look at the team. It became more of being a part of all jokes. And the Knicks fans did not take that too lightly. The Knicks fans did not appreciate that. So part of the reason I started KnicksFanTV was to give the fans more of an inside look, give the fans someone like myself who could cover the team that looked like them, someone that they could relate to, and to have the fans be heard. A lot of these mainstream media outlets, they're pushing the content out, but nobody's really listening to the fan to hear how they feel about the news, the rumors, and what happens after the game, capturing that reaction right after the game. So that was the essence of KnicksFanTV. And over the last 4 years, we've been growing a budding community, a worldwide community. We have fans calling in not just from New York, but from Vietnam, from London, from Jamaica, from Belize. June 22nd, 2017, that was my first episode of KnicksFanTV. It was the day of the NBA draft. I decided I bought a cheap tripod from Amazon, took my cell phone out, went out to MSG, and just started interviewing fans to get their reaction of what was going on. I just went out there to capture the vibe, the energy outside of Madison Square Garden, and pre-draft and post-draft, just to see how the fans felt. And that, in essence, was the first episode of KnicksFanTV. Fan on the Street style content is one of the content mixes that I really love, is because you capture everything live, all the emotions live and direct, unscripted, right after the game. I love walking out of MSG and interacting with the fans, and whether win or lose, you just capture everything in an authentic way. And another thing is that the live stream audience, wherever they are in the world, you bring them right there directly on the streets of New York, right outside of Madison Square Garden, to hear what happened after the game, win or lose. So I'm always with the fans, I'm always bringing the fans with me, whether it's virtually or physically. And that's what I love most about the fan on the street style content.
Nothing but Knicks. Back in 2017, I was really missing being in New York. I live in Maryland now, and I needed to have that conversation with Knicks fans, the arguments, the brotherhood, the sisterhood. I needed to have my Knicks family around me. So I started to vlog and just talk about the Knicks as a fan. And as I began to talk about the Knicks as a fan, other people, they were drawn to it, right? Because they wanted to talk to other people about the New York Knicks, people who were as diehard as I was. And so we became a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a family. Other Knicks fans were drawn to it because I think, there's a lot of people looking for the same thing, and they want to hear what Knicks fans have to say, not always the reporters or the writers. They want to hear what Knicks fans have to say. So they were drawn to the channel, drawn to the Nothing But Knicks, or NBK as we say, content that I was putting out. And we began to have conversations and discussions and arguments about the Knicks' progress, how they're supposed to develop, what is a player doing now versus before, or should we keep this player, dump this player, trade this player, talking about trade rumors and everything that has to do with the New York Knicks. And it's become a brotherhood. We knew that the team needed to improve in certain areas, in the front office, on the court, coaching, whatever it was. But we didn't feel like, or we didn't want to hear the bashing, right? We could feel it. We felt the pain for years. So the bashing we felt was unnecessary. So we turned to other fans. We can listen to other fans, and we can listen to, there are certain reporters out there who treat the Knicks fairly and objectively, pay attention to them, listen to them. But we can get the news from each other, talk to each other. We can spread rumors amongst each other. We can have differences of opinions amongst each other and share that news with each other. So I think this is where the development of the whole Knicks media or independent Knicks media has come from. It's where the mainstream was just lacking. They weren't genuine.
The NBA has 30 teams in 28 cities. Every team has its fan bases. Knicks Nation has probably the most prominent, feverish fanatics.
Very disappointed, but I'll take one of the big three. There you go. Fuck the big three, we wanted Zion. That's fucking bullshit. New York deserves better. The Knicks deserve one. We did deserve that motherfucker.
They are everywhere, unbossed and unbought, passed down through generations over a half century. A tri-state core region of thousands that go back to the opening NBA tap in 1946.
So this is a true team that's built organically, and I think the fans really do relate to it and resonate to it. They're gritty. There's no excuses to this team. And that's like a New Yorker. We don't want to hear excuses. We just want you to go out and get the job done.
New York City is a bunch of grittiest, hungriest, nastiest, dirtiest, loyal fans ever. We run half hours. Who are we? Who are we?
As the team languished through the post-Ewing dark ages, the mainstream poured more salt in the wound, latching on to the hot takes and controversies.
It felt like anytime the Knicks were mentioned, I either muted the TV. I'm not making this up. I used to mute the TV, or there's the last button on the old, it wasn't even Spectrum at the time. It was Time Warner. There was the last button. I would press that and go right back to a cartoon or something else I was watching, because I knew if the Knicks were going to be talked about, it was going to be something that was going to make me upset, because it was always the Knicks being the butt of a joke.
There's no getting around the fact that the Knicks have done a lot to themselves the last 20 years. We've done some wacky things, done some wacky decisions, had some wacky moments. But I think at times the media makes it out to be a little bit bigger of a deal than it is.
I think in retrospect, we'll look back and be like, how could we have been so silly? Of course, nobody could have seen the turnaround from Randall, which was the biggest thing. But I think people expected to say more out of Obi Toppin, for example. So if you didn't expect that out of Randall, you expected more out of Toppin coming into the season. I don't know if people quite expected RJ Barrett to develop the way he has. I mean, I think really, ultimately, this season is just a real testament to what good coaching can do. Because we see a lot of players that really struggled last year under a, quite frankly, bad development staff, and just a bad staff in general for the first almost half of the season. Turning around this year and blossoming into something better. So I think they, for sure, by far exceeded my expectations. But I think maybe our expectations should have been just a smidge higher than what they actually were.
They're hardworking. They battle.
Hard-nosed, blue-collar effort, non-stop work here. But blue-chip draft picks, big-name free agents never seen the blossom here. At least, not in this game of pro basketball. The pandemic devastated everything. Old business models were crushed, but new ones arose like a phoenix risen from the ashes.
That one of the first things that I thought about after my family and making sure my friends and family were safe is, okay, how do I create content that's going to engage the Knicks fans during this time?
During that pandemic, I came to realize that, Knicks Fan TV's content became almost a source, a go-to to help other platforms provide content for their audience, because there were no games. There were absolutely no games. And so from the opening interview, we just kept it rolling. Xavier McDaniel became the biggest interview that we've done thus far to date. The Xavier McDaniel interview garnered gained over 100,000 views on YouTube, because he was such a fan favorite to those fans of the early 90s teams. And every fan wanted to know, why did the X-Man leave? Why did he leave? And he kicked off the interview right off the bat into why he left and the whole situation with his contract. That was also the time when The Last Dance was coming out. And so X-Man was able to give us a deep dive into his rivalry with the Bulls and Scottie Pippen and MJ and so on. So the X-Man interview was another one that really, really put us on the map with the fans. And so over the time of the pandemic, we just kept coming with player interviews. Rasheed Wallace, Kenny Martin, Jamal Crawford came on, Derek Harper, and just telling those stories that the fans have yearned to hear, giving us insight on their relationships with other key players on the team at that time. And that was the thing that really sustained us and helped us continue to grow.
The NBA was the first major sport to adapt to this new reality, creating a bubble tournament in the summer of 2020 to finish out the season. The Knicks, with one of the worst records in the league, were not invited. Knicks Nation was marooned, sequestered, and grew itself with an interaction that got bigger and bigger as the bubble played out. Emerging as a 21st century extreme model to traditional media, like arena football to the NFL, mixed martial arts to boxing, even skateboarding to roller skating. Through hard times, thanks to the technology, it was the internet invention, an added portal to vent their opinions and frustrations with intervention, thus laying the foundation for the 2020 decade of Knicks Nation.
To Knicks Nation.
As the world got socially distanced and folks fall apart, fans had to find a new kind of seat to fill. The virtual world became official. By default, citizens were also now considered netizens. COVID socially distanced the fans away from the games, away from the seats. The fans needed to go someplace as the players found their way back to the stadiums, ballparks, and arenas. Casey Powell is known to this world as CP the Franchise. His KnicksFanTV is beyond considered a mere blog podcast or even a platform for that matter. It is an experience.
This is it right here. And the 5th pick will be made by the Cleveland Cavaliers.
It's a movement that has caught the attention of ESPN, MSG Networks, WFAN Radio, SiriusXM Radio, and other major sports coverage situations. Upon the Knicks' rise, his passion sparked a back-and-forth battle on the Max Kellerman Show, once invited, now national sports show on ESPN, called in his return visits as a lightning-sharp NBA analyst.
18 and 17, 4th in the East. Put some respect on our name. We're playing hard on the top, Thibodeau. Where does the
18 and
stuff come
17.
from?
You're acting like they did 18 and 17, 4th in the
But that's
East.
why I'm here. This has been a 12-step program for you since you sold out on Knicks Nation, where you're trying to come back into the fold little by little. I understand
I'm
that.
not trying to come into any folds.
I understand that.
No, I'm not trying to come. I make the folds, first of all.
CP and KnicksFanTV didn't invent this game of sorts, but with the circumstances, he and others evolutionized it. Knicks Film School, Nothing But Knicks, The Strickland, The Nick of Time Show, and more. The legions that spur the upper deck talk, the mezzanine mess, the speak from the cheap seats, the straight out smoke, as they say when the good, the bad, and the ugly happen, and gets that quick response. The crew, the squad that flanks CP the Franchise range from chief content creators and owners of their own internet works, and CP leads Knick Nation in that support. This season, New York-bred LA-based CK2K and New York-bred Miami-based Ashley Nicole Moss are fantastic examples of the diverse wide reach of the Knicks Nation fan. Others like Alex Trateris and Jay Ellis from Nick of Time TV, Jonathan Macri of Knicks Film School, Alex Wolf of The Strickland have also co-teamed with KnicksFanTV in coverage. Simeon Russell of Nothing But Knicks has a long-running legion of Knicks fans going way back with analysis, opinion, and talk pre, during, and post, filling out every minute of the week. They all find their spaces because the virtual seats are all Knick all the time. Many melted in the pressure spotlight of Microwave Square Garden, but it's the same heat that has formed diamonds of folklore. And for a New York fan, the best expectation is to expect the unexpected. The virtual world arena is even bigger than the 19,694 at Madison Square Garden. Knicks Nation is a true internetwork. Most of all, Knicks Nation is the fan themselves. This internetwork serves the fans hardcore. The fans in the Moss chat are stars themselves with names like Big Surge, Angel from Philly, First Lady of Sports, Ari Michael, just to name a few, and a New Yorker based in North Carolina who spits non-stop orange and blue support. On KnicksFanTV, CP named him the closer, Jay Boogie, who blesses the gospel.
Birthday boy.
North Carolina. Let's go.
Salute. Big up to everybody, man, aboard, man. Big up to the team. Big up to the network. Big up to the orange and blue. Big up to the chats. Big up to the phone call. Big up to everybody today, man. Big ups, big up, big ups all the way. You gotta respect it. You gotta love it. Who we talking about? Julius? player of the week. Nah, that ain't enough. I need player of the month. That ain't enough. I need most improved player. I need, first team. If not that, then you hating. I need second team at worst. You know what I'm saying? Player, basketball team of the year. You know what I'm saying? And I need Tom Thibodeau to go ahead and get coach of the year. I need all that. Y'all owe all that. All them nigga haters and everything. Y'all owe all that. Give us our blessings, man. Give us our respect. Give us our pride, man. We talking about 7. That's 2 more fingers to the other hand coming from the 5 fingers. You know what I'm saying? That's what we got going on, man. You got to appreciate and love it. But you really want to know how good the Knicks is doing? Tune into another networks when they call in the game. They'll tell you how the Knicks is doing. I listened to James after the game. Yeah, the coach of Charlotte. First thing he said, man, they turned up that defense, man. They was more physical. They wanted more than us. They played more harder than us. They took that game from us. That's how you find out how good our team is when you listen to the other networks.
And coming out of this New York world, you gotta know hip-hop rides by birth. OGs like Fat Joe, LL Cool J, and Q-Tip courtside. G-Units, Lloyd Banks, and yours truly in the Moss Chat. And a season that started with bars and video from Dipset. New York discovers and uncovers and finds the ones that shine. Knicks Nation 72 fan, Papa Left, made a song and a video called Knickset to finish what Dipset has started.
You gotta love and you gotta respect what we're doing, man. If you don't love and respect what we're doing, you're not a real true New York Knicks fan.
Bars in the stew for the orange and blue. Put your arms in the roof, I need the garden to move. From the courtside spikes to the 400 heights. You feel the spirit of the Mecca when they darken the lights. This is Knickset, 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 Knickset.
Here we go.
First off, we got Coach of the Year, Tom Thibodeau, to make the ghost of Holtzman appear. Bring it back to when the Garden was Eden. Clyde and Breed on MSG with the whole crowd calling for defense. We bring the hustle that the city supports. You try to dunk on Nerlens or Mitch, you'll be sitting in chalk.
The 16th man is the Knicks Nation fan. The story of a season as CP the franchise proclaimed as games played on house money. From choice draft picks and free agent money, and now the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. Organically, 4th seed, first round home court advantage, yet knowing it's going to be a hell of a dogfight ahead. But for now, this story is a virtual garden tailgate party we call Knicks Nation Ride or Die, with an amazing season, win, lose, or draw. You couldn't even script this up. Knicks Nation Ride or Die. But like it was said at the start, expect the unexpected. And like CP the franchise says, throw that thumbs up for your squad. Let's go. Fantastic Voyage. The story of Knicks Nation, the 16th man. This is Chuck D. The New York Grits, nicknamed by co-host Ashley Nicole Moss, appropriately nicknamed them. Big pun intended indeed. Also, this is where the nicknames begin. J Boogie the Closer, coming up with Julius the Black Messiah. Others like Nine God for RJ Barrett, the Nerlens Wall, IQ, and Mitch the Block Ness Monster Robinson. All these names rise up because it comes from here, the 16th man.